What's up, vinyl community? It's Jason coming at you from the Jazz Basement. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I put a video up. I think it's been 6 months. So happy to come at you with a new video. It's a really special stack. I think I've got 6 records to share with you today. Some pretty amazing finds and hopefully some interesting stories to share with you as well. Before we get started, just a bit of housekeeping. I started an Instagram page. I had an Instagram page that was kind of records and personal things, and I've started today a at the Jazz Basement account on Instagram, all one word. So if you want to give me a follow, I haven't posted anything just yet, but I'm going to post these records in short order. So it's just going to be basically records from my collection, not just in the order that I found them, but as I spin them, hopefully have a little bit more insights on them, more than I can do in a short YouTube video. So if you're on Instagram, give me a follow. Again, it's at the Jazz Basement. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So, I'm still very much into collecting. I've done, a lot. You'll see some of the things that I've picked up. But relative to the pace of the past couple of years, I've been a lot more selective in what I've added to my collection. Part of that is condition. So my bar for condition's really kind of gone up. Partly because a lot of the records that I've gotten in the last 12 months or so, are excellent or near mint. And it's kind of a slippery slope. Once you listen to a near mint record or an excellent record and there's no surface noise and there's no scratches, it's kind of intoxicating. And yes, I would love to have a collection full of those. That's not realistic. But whenever possible, I would say the minimum entry point now is probably, VG plus or better. That said, will I buy a strong VG record? Absolutely. I have a couple of those, that I bought recently, but boy, those EX and near mints, are really wonderful. So anyway, first one is a 10-inch record. I don't collect 10-inch records. I have nothing against them. It's just you don't really see them all that often. But I was having a discussion with Sheila, who's the proprietor of Record Exchange of Silver Spring, that I do a lot of business with. And I was in there one day, and I hadn't bought anything for a couple of weeks, a couple of months probably. And she's like, "Hey, Jace, do you collect 10-inch Blue Notes?" It's like, no, not really. A lot of the early 1500 Blue Notes are actually composed of what were originally released as 10-inch Blue Notes. So a 10-inch record typically would be like one side of a 12-inch record. I was like, no, not really my thing. Nothing against them. I was like, but there is one if you ever come across. I could probably make an exception. And she smiled. She knew what I was talking about. And the next day called me back and said, "I think you might be interested in this. Afro-Cuban Kenny Dorham." Yeah, great record. Kind of not so great cover art on the 10-inch, but you can see it is in great shape. The cover's beautiful, no seam splits. Again, the cover art, kind of pales in comparison to the 12-inch version, which is this beautiful sort of tribal red and black. But wonderful pickup there. And then I went out and bought a special 10-inch. Actually, if you go to Sleeve City, you can ask for a sample. So I asked for a sample 10-inch sleeve, which I got because I only have one. But this is what it looks like. You can see, for a record from 1954, pretty clean. So it's Blue Note 5065, 767 Lexington Avenue. Very clean. I'm glad it's clean because I can't put it through my ultrasonic cleaner without buying $100 adapter, and I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to go deep into the 10-inch records. But you know, just a great record. More of that kind of Afro, kind of Cuban, obviously vibe. Lotus Flower is pretty excellent. Aphrodisia is another one that I really, really enjoy here. So it's Kenny Dorham, J.J. Johnson on the trombone, Hank Mobley, Cecil Payne, Horace Silver, Oscar Pettiford on the bass, uh, Carlos Potato Valdez on the conga, and Art Blakely on drums. So yeah, amazing. Um, what's interesting about this one is the 10 inch, both the 10-inch and the 12-inch are tough finds, period, in any condition. The 10-inch is actually rarer. And this makes up side A of the 12-inch record. Side B of the 12-inch record is actually from a different session, has a slightly different vibe to it. So anyway, just really happy to have that one. I have a list of like 10, and the stack that you're going to see today scratched off 6 of my top 10 on the want list. So that was top. This is what I consider a moonshot. Like, you can put it on your want list and it's like, you may never get it. The next one I had a little bit higher hopes for in general, and it's a saxophone player that I absolutely love. I've really gotten into him a lot in the last 12 months or so. Was fortunate to pick up and have 2 of his other Blue Note releases, and then completed the trifecta this summer. Hat tip to Kyle on Instagram, Shiny Records. I think he lives in the Denver area, and was at Twist and Shout, and in one of his Instagram stories posted kind of a wall of Twist and Shout, and they had this record up there. So I reached out to them, and shops are funny. Some shops will do things online and take phone calls or take direct messages, and others, are like, hey, we only do things in person for a number of reasons, either for the local community or they just don't want to deal with shipping and the risk there. But fortunately, Twist and Shout was able to ship, and I picked up this beauty. So Johnny Griffin, The Congregation, featuring some beautiful cover artwork by Andy Warhol with kind of that funky Hawaiian print shirt. Pretty reasonable cover. No seam splits or anything like that. Nice and shiny. Not immaculate, but definitely very nice. And similar story with the wax. So it's on the West 63rd label. This is sort of nice VG copy, I would say. Not a lot of marks on this one. So really happy to have that in the mix. I love his playing. Plays with a lot of fiery energy, sort of Chicago style, I guess you could call it. But that completes the 3 Johnny Griffin Blue Note original pressings that I have. And I love Johnny Griffin. I've moved on to some of his Riverside stuff, which is also very good. Also a lot more affordable than the Blue Note stuff. This next one, again, was not local. Hat tip to Tree McGee, who has a YouTube channel, A Supreme Love. Very diverse interests, just a music lover, and a good friend. So earlier this spring, he spent some time in Charlotte at Noble Records, visiting with Dylan and a couple other friends in the area, and went to Papa Jazz, I want to say Papa John's, Papa Jazz Records, which is in, I think, Columbia, South Carolina. It's in South Carolina, at least. They've acquired this amazing collection of a college professor. I don't know if it's a music professor or jazz professor, but it's a huge jazz collection. And every Friday they put a small selection out. They put it on Facebook. You can kind of see what they have. It's usually like 12 to 15 records that would be kind of wall worthy, I would say. And they're willing to ship. So, Tree kind of tipped me off. He said, hey, I'm looking at the wall and thought you might like this one. And I was like, absolutely. So, was traveling to Chicago for I'm the godfather of my college roommate's daughter, so was there for a family thing, which was great. So landed, made some connections, made some phone calls, and in a couple days later, this was in my collection. Dial S for Sonny, in beautiful, beautiful shape. So Art Farmer on trumpet, Curtis Fuller on trombone, Hank Mobley on the sax, Sonny Clark on piano, Will Barrere on bass, and Louis Hayes on the drums. Um, this is his debut, I believe, Sonny Clark's debut on Blue Note. Gone far too early. Great record, wonderful, very difficult to find, kind of definitely in that Blue Note Holy Grail list, top 10, top 15, in terms of difficulty of acquiring. This one is in great shape as well. They definitely undergraded it. They said it was strong VG, and when again, I can't sing the praises of an ultrasonic cleaner enough, but it cleans it up real nice. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. West 63rd, no R after the note in Blue Note. So great music, with piano forward records, it's really important to try and get the quietest pressing that you can. Bill Evans stuff, some of the other piano trios. It's having a quiet record really matters a lot, and this one's dead silent. So phenomenal pickup there. So with Sonny Clark, I have, let's see, 4 of the 5 originals. The only one I'm missing is Sonny's Crib, and that's with John Coltrane. Obviously a pretty difficult find. So, all right, now it just gets better and better, right? And you're definitely going to want to stick around for the last record here. The next one is a relatively recent acquisition. It was through someone on Instagram that sort of sells records, and it was a very fair price. And I love Hank Mobley, so I couldn't say no. And this was actually a lot, pricing wise, not a cheap record, but I thought it would have been double what the ask was. It's strong VG, not super clean. Plays with a little bit of surface noise, but again, particularly with Blue Notes where you have they were cut hot with the horns. It just plays right through. It's just really in quiet parts where you hear a little bit of surface noise. But this was top 3 want for me. So to come home with this is pretty special. So Hank Mobley 1550, featuring Art Farmer on trumpet, Mobley on sax, Horace Silver on piano, Doug Watkins, and Blakey on drums. Just solid, straight down the middle, hard bop, just wonderful, beautiful cover art. This is actually, if you go on Instagram and look for me at the Jazz Basement, my avatar or whatever is actually a picture of this cover. So just so you know. And what I love about this record is it has the elusive West 63rd New York 23 address on it. So love it. Let's see if we can get you a little bit better look at it. But very cool. So no R, nice thick vinyl. Definitely some marks on this. Strong VG, I think, is fair. And again, it's just one of those ones where you're like, rather have it than hope for a VG plus. And again, I thought the price was fair for what I paid for it. Next 2 are big ones for me. This next album I've had an opportunity to buy twice, and both times I sat on my hands. So the first time it was a local copy. I think they had it for like $1,000 VG plus copy. This is a couple of years ago. And at the time my mind was blown. I'm like, oh my God, $1,000 for a record. There's no way. That's insane. And I got a reissue of it and fell in love with it. And I was like, oh my God, why did I let that pass? Fast forward to last summer. Again, had another opportunity local to purchase it. VG Plus copy. Unfortunately, the price was a little bit higher. Was trying to work out a deal, and it sold before I could work out a deal. So it's like 0 for 2, and you're just like, third time's a charm, I guess. So got a text a couple of weekends ago again from Sheila at Record Exchange of Silver Spring. It was just like, hey Jace, I know this is one you're gonna want. Very clean. What do you think? And she sent a picture of me, and I was like, yes, absolutely, let's do it. Let's go. So texted me on like a Sunday night, and I was just about to sit down to dinner with my family. Ate dinner as fast as I could. I was like, I gotta go to I'll be back. I'll be back in 45 minutes. So jumped out, picked it up. They kept the shop open late for me, but Pecking Time, Hank Mobley, Lee Morgan. Cover art's not great, but you could see this thing is in great shape. Beautiful, beautiful. And beautiful music to match, right? So Lee Morgan on trumpet, stud, Hank Mobley tenor sax, Wynton Kelly on piano, Paul Chambers on the bass, Charlie Persip on the drums. I mean, just great chemistry between Mobley and Lee Morgan, and again, just thick in that hard bop the bluesy hard bop that I just can't get enough of. Condition wise, this may be the cleanest record in my collection. Definitely top form. I mean, it's just, I put it through the ultrasonic cleaner. There's no scratches. There's no hairlines. There's no scuff marks. It is just straight up beautiful. Both sides. Plays near mint. Couldn't be happier. Good things come to those who wait. I guess is the moral of the story there. I don't know, but geez, yeah. Anytime you can pick up a Lee Morgan or a Hank Mobley from the Blue Note 1500 series is a special day. Not as special as this last record, and this is one where I didn't even have it on my want list. It was such a moonshot. You're just like, there's no way, you're competing. It's one of the rarest Blue Notes out there. You're competing with collectors that are willing to pay, a lot of money to have a trashed copy just so that they can they can have an original. That's not what I like to do. I'd rather get a reissue than have a good plus record. Everyone's different. Everyone approaches it differently. So this one again, from Sheila, Record Exchange of Silver Spring, has a customer that comes in, or client. I don't know what you call it, but this person comes in every couple of weeks and drops off a stack of records, and they're all in great shape, and they're all wonderful, wonderful records. And they all sell very quickly. The crazy thing is, this person, what he's bringing in are duplicates. Okay. So Afro-Cuban was from this guy. Pecking Time was from this guy. This next one, a lot of the records that I've bought in the last 12 months have come from this collection because they're in worst case EX, and some of them are near mint, and they mostly play near mint. And it's mind blowing, right? And there's stuff that I've passed on that I either had, maybe not as clean, and I was like, I don't want to, VG++ is good enough. I don't need to move to an EX in some of these. But she sent me a text with a picture, and she's like, Jace, what do you think? And I was like, oh my God, this is one of those records where if you're a collector, you're like, man, if I ever saw that and could, make the numbers work, like I'd jump on that. And then it like happens, and you're like, oh, I said I'd do this, but now it's right. It's real. Like this is an opportunity. And I kind of, it wasn't one that I jumped on immediately. I really had to think. I went for a walk trying to clear my mind. I called Dylan at Noble Records, And it's like, Dylan, like, we're friends. Like, we met up in DC a couple of weeks ago when he was in town. So we have a good relationship. And I was like, hey, what do I think? And we kind of talked through it. And their initial ask was more than I was comfortable going with. And so I called them and kind of said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I'm comfortable with this number. Understand that may not work for you, but you gotta, at some point, you just got to be like, there's some number where you feel okay walking away from, right? It might sting a little bit, or you're like, man, the one that got away, because in this case, you're probably not going to see another one for a long time, maybe ever. I never thought I'd see one in the flesh, to be quite honest. It's the only one I've ever seen. But anyway, enough about that. Tyna Brooks, True Blue. Just, yeah, don't really need to say too much about this one other than obviously the jacket is extremely clean. Um, and the record itself is beautiful. Got a little dog hair, so hopefully that doesn't take away from the grade too much. But just, yeah. Spun it, plays beautifully, plays near mint, just like new, which is amazing. Musically, it's awesome. It's I want more. I don't know if it goes by Tina or Tyna. I think people in Texas say Tyna. He's from Texas, so Tyna Brooks. I think there's been some tone poets that have come out for some unreleased things that he did, and it was just amazing tone, wonderful player, and just it's too bad he just didn't get the credit he deserved when he was alive, and he ended up dying from liver cirrhosis when he was 42. So he recorded this in his early 30s. He was on the sideman for a lot of things on Blue Note. I think the week before he was part of the Open Sesame Freddie Hubbard session. So you can find him on as a sideman. Definitely worth getting. But obviously this was his magnus opus, or whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, it didn't sell, which means it didn't get repressed. So I think this came out in 1960. The next repress was in Japan in 1981. So only exists in mono, only one version, deep groove both sides. Pressed at Plastilite. There's no Liberty copy. There's no United Artist copy. I do believe Blue Note is putting this out as a classic series, if I'm not mistaken. I think it comes out pretty soon. So do yourself a favor, get a copy, any copy that you can find. It's musically wonderful. Definitely on the bluesy side, and the solos on the album are great. Freddie Hubbard really shines. Duke Jordan on piano. I mean, another beautiful player. I don't have a lot of Duke Jordan stuff. I would love more Duke Jordan. Would love Flight to Jordan. If anyone has a copy, hit me up. Art Taylor on the sticks, Sam Jones on the bass. Just a great lineup. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still pinching myself that this is in my collection. And all things considered, the price was reasonable. And I'll put that in air quotes, reasonable for what it is, for a copy of True Blue. So pretty incredible. Thanks for taking the time. This is a much longer video than I normally do. Again, if you're on Instagram, give me a follow. It's at the Jazz Basement. Would love to, get to know some of you more. I respond to DMs, so to the extent that I can. But hope you're all doing well. Thanks again for dialing in. I do have a lot more to show you. And I'm going to be a lot better about doing videos. And not everything is going to be as heavy as what you saw today. There's definitely some more affordable stuff, including some reissues. Yes, modern reissues. I collect those too. I don't have a lot of them, but I do have some. And anyway, stay tuned for more. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, have a good one.